Welcome to Loving Life's Journey with your host, Linda Wilson. Loving Life's Journey is a heartwarming show that explores the simple pleasures and profound moments that make life worth living. Linda will share stories of hope, resilience, and the power of human connection, celebrating the joys that bind us together. Loving Life's Journey is your invitation to revel in the beauty of everyday miracles and the love that surrounds us all. So now, please welcome the host of Loving Life's Journey, Linda Wilson.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Linda Wilson here with Loving Life's Journey. I'm so glad you could join us this morning. And we had a little bit of technical difficulty, but we are here, and I am pleased to have as my guest my good friend Sam McKeown. We've been working together for a long time, and we've known each other for about 5.5 years, and Sam is one of my favorite people because he just understands how to keep going through life even when life doesn't always treat you kindly. And he's helped me do the same, and I love that. And welcome. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning. It's good to be here. That was very kind of you to say, because sometimes I wonder how I get through life every day.
I think all of us are kind of, we just kind of hit those points. And I think the older we get, the more resilient we get, but sometimes
Hmm.
that's not
Yep.
always. I wear kind of like a badge of honor, but I don't know that.
Yeah, I don't know that it is, right?
It's kind of like, oh, I'm so tired of being resilient. But
Yes, yes.
what I wanted to talk about today is self-care for your finances.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
I know that you're not a financial planner, but you're very, very well educated and very good at making your finances work for you as you're building.
yeah.
And
I'd
when
like
we
to
think
think
about
so. Yeah.
self-care, we always, immediately go to, the spa day or the golf game or
Hmm.
whatever. Self-care
Right.
encompasses a lot of things, and when your finances are in the best condition they can be for your circumstance, that relieves a lot of pressure on you, and it's
Hmm.
so important that we even if you're struggling financially, there's ways to have financial self-care,
Yes.
and you walked me through quite a bit of that. What are some of the, what are some of the most important things somebody should look at when they're feeling like they're struggling financially?
Probably the most important is to take a good hard look at your finances. Most folks don't. The thing I find when I start working with folks is that they really don't know exactly where they're at. And that's one of the first things I ask them to do is where are you? And they don't want to look at it because it has a tendency to build stress. However, before I have them take a look at that, there's a few questions I ask. What's your goal? What's your timeline? That's where the coaching side of it comes in, is to dig deep and find out exactly what a person's financial goals are. Unfortunately, a lot of people just want a quick fix, and you and I both know that doesn't work. It doesn't work in any type of self care.
Mm,
There's no quick fixes. It's constant. It's constant process. This the next thing I do is to get them to understand that the person on the other end of the phone is a person. They can't take their firstborn. They can't put him in prison. They can make all sorts of threats, but legally, there's not much they can do to harm you other than, if it's a debt, they can get a small claims judgment or whatever. But there's so many things you can do to eliminate that, or not eliminate, to mitigate that circumstance. And it all has to do with communication. But if you're not honest with yourself to begin with on where you're at financially, then you can't move forward. And that causes more grief, more strife, more heartache in every relationship, is the financial end of it. And I have had several clients who are single, and they say, well, I don't really have to have a conversation with anybody about this, so it's not really stressing me out. And, oh yeah, it's stressing me out. When you're avoiding telephone calls and you don't want to go to the mail and you don't want to look at your text messages, and because now all the financial institutions in the fine print say, do you agree to receiving text and email communications, right? And so you don't want to look at your email, you don't want to look at your text, you don't want to, definitely don't want to answer the phone. So that creates stress. And taking care of yourself financially, the first step is take a good hard look and then to begin to discuss it with a trusted colleague, coach, mentor. The thing about financial coaching is that it's not all coaching. The coaching is at the beginning when you're trying to um, determine where a person wants to go with it. And there's some other throughout the coaching side of it, but most of it is mentoring and teaching, training. So when you talk to a financial coach, if they're not into telling you that, hey, a lot of this is going to be training, teaching, mentoring, following up, there's a lot of work that has to be done. Most people don't want to do the work. Then you're not dealing with a person who truly knows what being a financial coach is all about. Um,
Yeah. One of the things that is a stumbling block for people is there's a lot of shame associated with
mhm,
finances not in good order.
mhm.
And, it's one of the reasons people don't want to look through things because they feel ashamed that their finances aren't in good order. And, there's all sorts of things that can affect your finances. And
Oh yeah.
some of them are things that are within our control. And a lot of times there's things that they're not. And
Mhm,
there's no shame in that. It's, just don't ignore it. I know when Jeff and I I put us into bankruptcy all those years ago. And
mhm.
I literally buried my head in the sand. I thought if I don't answer the phone,
Sure,
if I don't look at the bills,
they'll go away.
fix it. Well, and I just thought, I'm not going to say anything. I got myself into this. I'm going to fix it and get myself out of it. And, you know, it just didn't work that way.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
back in 2010, they made bankruptcy less of a stigma,
mhm.
because I know growing up, boy, you didn't even use that word. Nobody talked
Right.
about it because that was extremely shameful. And
Mhm,
that's gotten to be less of the case over time. And it's not because people just don't care whether they're being financially set. It's just sometimes life just happens. And instead of
mhm,
letting it get the better of you, there are there are options. Now I know
mhm,
you and I, when we were talking, there are some benefits to bankruptcy. And there
mhm.
are
Yeah.
definitely detractions to bankruptcy. So
Right.
what would
The
those be?
the some of the things with bankruptcy, if so, for example, I had a client once that they had a business failure and they had racked up a lot of debt, and the integrity part of their personality said, no, I'm paying this debt off. And I sent them to a bankruptcy attorney that I know here in Tampa. He's very, very good. And uh, his initial approach is the coaching side of it. He pulls out of them what they want to do, why you want to do this, where, he has some really good coaching questions. And so it dawned on him. He said, I can put together a package for you to pay your debt. But you do realize that with this package, it's 35 years before you see the light of day. And that brought them to a place where, I mean, the debt was totally overwhelming, just the business loss. And so they filed. And now they're on an even keel. they've begun to rebuild their credit life, which they found that paying cash for a lot of stuff was okay, right? They don't have much credit, but what they do have reflects pretty good on their credit report. And so, there's an argument whether you talk to some of the big financial gurus out there, the Dave Ramseys and Susie Ormans and stuff like that, as to whether or not you should have credit card debt and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to go there with that. That's all personal choice. And it's all about managing it. And most people don't. They go out, they get a credit card. It's got $2,500 credit limit on. Pretty soon, they've got $24.99 on their credit card, and that's good, right? I mean, 30% is what the financial institutions look at. But coming out of bankruptcy is not as hard as it used to be. You do have to go to court, but people in court know what they're looking at. The judge, they don't call them that. I can't remember exactly what they're called now, but they've looked at all your finances. You have supplied them every bit of information they need to look at your situation. And they'll ask you some pointed questions. They'll ask you, how did you get to this place? Boom, boom, boom. And then for the most part, unless you're covering something up, which trust me, they will find, they're going to discharge the bankruptcy. Now, does it follow you for a number of years? Absolutely. 7 or 10 years. I can't remember exactly. It used to be 10, then it went to 7. I think it went back to 10. So once it's always there, but so for example, you file bankruptcy and you have a decent job, but you're never going to be able to pay off the debt. You file the bankruptcy, you grin and bear it for 2-3 years, you pay your debts, you pay everything that comes up, you stay on track with your rent, your mortgage payment, things like that. 2 to 3 years down the road, if it comes to a place where you need to, say, buy a house, 3 years out of bankruptcy, you're going to be able to qualify for a loan. Mm-hmm. If you've kept everything up from the time of the bankruptcy. Now, if you haven't, then you basically just created another mess. But there's so much relief that can come out of it if it's an absolute necessity. And that's where I have had to tell folks, this is your best bet. It's not fun. But then again, I've been able to help them walk through it because of the gentleman that I use as bankruptcy attorney. I definitely never recommend the debt resolution companies. You can do all of that on your own. Basically, what happens there, and they'll say that I'm not telling the truth here, but they basically, if your credit's already destroyed, they'll make it worse, and they will negotiate with all of your creditors. Absolutely, they will. But you can do the same thing. You can do the exact same thing, and the creditors know that if they deal with you instead of a debt resolution company, they're probably going to get most of the debt. It may take a little bit longer, but they're probably going to get most of it. They also know if they're dealing with a debt resolution company that a year, 2 years down the road, that company is going to come back and say, hey, we still owe you $1,000. We'll give you $500 and let's call it square. And most of them are going to do it just because, most of the creditors are going to do it just because it just gets one more off their books. So why not do it yourself, right? That discipline of doing it yourself moves into the realm of good budgeting, good financial planning, not being like me with a shiny object and chasing them. So, and it's all about the work. And that's where a good financial coach comes in the training, the teaching, and okay, are you on track with your financial goals that we talked about at the beginning, or have they changed? That's when the coaching side of it comes in. So a good financial coach is going to be a good coach, a good mentor, and a good trainer.
And I know that you helped me not too long ago with my debt, and the habits that, the procedures that you have me put in place, I still use those. Mm-hmm. So it's carried over into not just getting me out of trouble, but helping me build back up,
Right.
staying on track. And
Right.
I'm much more conscious about where my money goes. Before I knew it went to bills, but I couldn't tell you what. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
and everything came out automatically, which is great because then you're not late. But then I was going into the red,
Hmm.
and I was,
Hmm.
you can't do that. And
Right.
so I would say one of the biggest things is facing the fear of looking at your circumstance.
Hmm. It
Because
is.
like
It is.
I can tell you from experience, ignoring it doesn't make it better.
Yeah.
Um, Shaming yourself does not make it better.
Mhm. Nope.
Um, and I do know that when I worked with my creditors, they were all very easy to work with.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think I had
Yeah.
one that
It's.
would kind of give me a hard time, and after a couple of letters, everything, so everybody
Mhm.
was fine. And
Yeah.
oh yeah, we can do that. We can do that, sure.
Yeah.
Because
And it even extends to IRS debt.
mhm, I find that they
There,
actually are the easiest to work with.
there's a human being on the other end of the line, and
Mhm.
trust me, they've seen it. They've seen it. They've heard it. And if you treat them like another human being, treat them like you want to be treated. It goes back to the golden rule, do unto others, and they're going to work with you. On the other hand, if you're going to be mean and nasty to them, they can get pretty mean and nasty too. So, and
For
that
sure.
doesn't do anybody any good.
No, no,
Getting upset. Let's face it, we've all created our own debt issues. So, what do you want to do to correct it? If you just want to run away from it, and it's not doable for you to pay it back, and you file bankruptcy that way, then you're not going to have peace of mind. If you work to resolve it with the creditors, you're going to, yes, it may take longer, and maybe you're in a not as good a situation for a little while longer, but you're going to have peace of mind because you know that next telephone call is not going to be somebody wanting to collect money out of you when you don't have it, because you've already told them what you're going to be able to do and you're doing it. So the peace of mind that comes with facing the fear of the debt is invaluable.
it really is. And the other thing, especially when you're talking about the IRS, is that debt doesn't go away. You
No.
know, you can't ignore it. If you don't pay it off and you die, your family pays. I mean, it's kind of like student
Yeah.
loan debt. It's there forever.
It's there forever. Yeah.
It's there
Yeah. Two types of
forever.
debt that don't go away. Yeah.
Yeah,
Student loans and taxes. Yeah.
pretty much. Yeah. But when you're working with, well, let me ask it this way: what age groups do you see having problems most?
I would say there's two, I guess. Those at the beginning of their lives, young single, either single parent families in their early 20s to early 30s, or a young couple that had children early, same age range, and then unfortunately, I would say 55 on up. First off, probably a little bit older than 55. When they get to that point, they're looking at, okay, maybe they have a house, maybe they've lost a house. I have one gentleman and his wife in their late 50s, career that was, I mean, very, 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 very successful career, but he was in a high security level position.
Oh,
Okay. And um, you have to maintain good credit.
yeah,
And his wife did not understand that. And she had run up the credit cards. Then they took out a second mortgage to pay off the credit cards. And she ran the credit cards up again. So they had 3 liens against their house.
Oh
And
my.
she was in the process of running the credit cards up again. I advised him to cut the credit cards up and close the accounts. I don't know if he did that. She refused to. She refused to work with me, and I can't work with. In a married situation, I can't work with just one person. It creates problems for them. And
Right.
so, my guess is I haven't seen him in. Well, it's been almost a year now. I wouldn't be surprised that he's been let go. It's just a mess. So
But well,
you
let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll hear
okay.
more about that when we come back. And don't go away. We got more.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to easysense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's easysense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're getting value out of the show. If you are, give us a like, give us a follow, and give us a share. And I am here today with my good friend and guest, Sam McKeown, and we were talking about financial self-care. And
Mhm.
just before the break, he was talking about a couple that just,
Yep. They're
weren't.
they're they're in they're in severe financial straits, and it's all because they just couldn't control their spending. Like I said before the break, they have three liens against their home, and now more credit card debt. The issue with that, especially in his job, is he becomes a security risk. I mean, just does, and so that could very well have cost him his job. But like I said, I haven't seen him in about a year, so I don't know for sure. But here's the thing: they obviously never did a budget. They have no idea where their money's going. And this is the problem. We talked about this when we started working together. You take, you know, go fill your hands full of water and see how long you can hold that water. Eventually, it's all going to go. Now, if you take that and you dump it into a glass, well, now the water's contained and you know where it's at. That's what budgeting is. You're telling every dollar where to go. And I have a lot of stories, and a lot of my stories are combined so that no one will ever be exposed. And I have permission to use all the information that I do, just in case you're wondering. Um, but I talked to a single mom She had two little children, and she had a rough go of it, and she was getting back on her feet, and she was working with a company on her budgeting. And she said, I'm coming up. I do my budget, and I always have about $200 extra. That was the first red flag. And I said, so how short are you every month? About $200. And I kind of grinned and I said, so if you told that $200 where to go, if you budgeted that $200, oh, no, 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 that's extra money. I said, no, no, it's not. You think it's extra, but here's the mind process. Oh, I have $200 extra this month. And you're at the store and you see that outfit that's $100. Oh, well, I have $200 extra this month. So you buy the outfit. And then you go to the grocery store and there's some things that you normally don't buy, like steak or whatever. And you say, oh, I have $200 extra this month. And there's another $50 on the grocery bill. And then you see this pair of shoes that's $150. You really, really like it. I have $200 extra this month. Well, now you're already over your $200 and you're into the negative. And so when I talked to her about that, I said, what is the one thing you would do with that $200 if you could? If you decided to budget it, what would you do with it? Well, I'd like to save for a trip to Disney when my children are a little bit older. I said, okay, today that trip is going to cost you about $2,500. How long would it take you to build that $2,500 up if you treated it like a bill and put that $200 towards it every month? And the light bulb came on. So in doing that, I'm it's probably been 6 months since I've seen her. My guess is she has half of that trip already stored up. I'll see her again here in another 2 months and I'll talk to her about it. But my guess is she's already taken care of one major financial goal in her life. And now with doing the budgeting and doing it properly, she's probably halfway or better to that Disneyland trip for her children when they're old enough. And so if you don't tell that $200 where to go, it's going to go away and it's going to take its buddies with them. And we do that every month, right? I have $200 extra. I have $100 extra this month. And you always come up $200 short, $100 short, whatever. It's the thought process. We tell ourselves, I have $200 extra and we spend $4. So, I mean, you know how the mind works. I have $200 extra. I have $200. Yeah, yeah. And so it does.
I
It
have
multiplies
extra
it.
money and I haven't spent it yet. Oh, you spent it last week.
Yeah, right. And so, and the other thing, and this I got from my grandkids. I said, so and they've been around me. They know the budgeting process and everything. I said, so you know, what's your budget look like? And my granddaughter says, well, we have about $200 extra this month. And the $200 just hit me. And I was like, you know better than that. Anyway, so we got to talking about it and I said, so what's your budget look like? And they started walking through it. And I said, so do you have it? You have it on your phone? Do you have it? Do you have an app? Or, oh, no, it's all up here. I said, oh, no, 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 no. It can't be all up here. It's not. You're going to forget something. So it has to be written down. And it doesn't matter if it's written down in a budgeting app, if it's written down on pen and paper. I like pen and paper, actually pencil and paper, so I can erase when I make a mistake. But you can do apps. There's all sorts of apps out there. Everybody's got them. Dave Ramsey's got one. There's one called Mint. I have a friend who's building his own, trying to take the best of all worlds and put it together. And I need to find out where he's at on that because I know it'll be a very easy to use app. But it's got to be written down somewhere.
It does. And I use a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Because
mm-hmm.
I'm old. Mm-hmm. So it's always there. And mm-hmm. I still, that was a habit you taught me. I go in every morning to see what needs to come out today and mm-hmm. sure that it's all in line, that everything's set. So that I can.
Let me ask you this. How's your peace of mind since you started doing that?
It's been so much better because now I know where it's going. I know what's coming up and if I don't have it, what I need to do to get it. I went through and got rid of the things that, you know, I probably had, I have an iPhone, so Apple Pay pays for a lot of things that I hadn't even
Yeah, yeah.
realized they were paying for. And I'm like, what is this
Mhm,
charge? Because it's not specific, it just shows up Apple Pay. I'm like, so what is
mhm.
this? Like 5 of those come out a month. And I'm like, what are these? So I had to do, I had to do a little bit of a detective. I'm like, what am I? And it's not big money, but
Nope.
where's it going? What's it for? Do I use
Right.
it?
Mhm.
And it
Yeah.
all ended up being things that I used. It just showed as Apple Pay. And I'm like, but I need to know, what is this Apple Pay for?
Mhm.
Or what
Yeah.
is this Google
Right.
Pay for? So it made me be very intentional about where the money was going, whether it was something that I really needed to spend it on. And it didn't make me get rid of all the fun things.
Right. Right. Well,
I
that's
made
the,
sure,
and that's
I made
the
sure.
crazy thing. If you listen to the Dave Ramseys and the Susie Ormans and all this kind of stuff, they tell you that you got to cut out your Starbucks, you got to cut out your McDonald's, you got to cut out wherever it is your comfort food or whatever. That's not it at all. The the key is it budgeted? And you want to talk about budgets? Think about one of the wealthiest men in the world. Lives right there in Omaha, and
Hmm.
you're very familiar. Berkshire Hathaway, right?
Yeah.
Uh, His wife, and here's the story goes. He stops at McDonald's every morning for breakfast, and how much money she puts in the car is based on what the stock market did.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's way up, he gets X amount of money, and he knows he can get XYZ for his morning meal and stuff like that. But it's budgeted. This is what you
Mhm.
can spend today. The market went down. You can get a cup of coffee and a donut, or whatever. Um, but uh, when you tell your money what to do, there's a peace of mind, and you end up having more money to tell what to do.
And the thing is when you tell money what to do, it has to listen to you.
Yeah, hmm yeah, it does. Yeah,
It
it's
can't fight back.
people.
So,
No, it can't fight back. No, no, and it's when we say, okay, I'm going to spend this, and then we've told that money what to do, right? And you mentioned something about turning off the automatic deposits and stuff like that. And there's a couple of ways to do those kind of things. So, for example, I run a lot of my business stuff through some of the pay services. So when I was trying to find out where some of my auto pays were at and what was going on, I just shut them off and moved. If I thought it was auto pay, I would go into it and I'd move it over to one of the accounts. The upside to that is if there's not enough money in there, it will not pay it, but there's no overdraft charge. It's just this transaction didn't get paid. Okay. And so then I can go in and say, okay, this is how much this is every month. So I either move it into that account or I move it back to one of the checking accounts. So there's a lot of things you can do that are not going to get you in trouble with your creditors in order to get it under control. And one of the first things is to begin to write it down. And most people, you give me your checking account, let me take a look at your checking account and tell you what's important to you. You know, um, I, and that's one of the oh, this is so funny. So I was teaching a class at a church, and these folks came in carrying their big $8 or $10 Starbucks drinks. Okay, now I knew their financial situation, so there was three of them. So there's $30 or $35 that they walked in that they had just spent. I also knew that they couldn't pay the rent,
right.
but they had $35 to go to Starbucks. Where's your priority, right? And so
No.
anyway, the
Um,
first thing they said to me was, "Are you going to tell me no Starbucks?"
Nope. Nope. Let's hold that thought because we need to take
Okay.
a quick break. But don't go away. We'll come back to find out whether they got their Starbucks or not. Don't go away.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here with my good buddy Sam McKeown, and we are talking financial self-care. So, Sam, did they get their Starbucks?
They did, but it took a lot of work, and it took a hardcore look at their finances. And when they finally figured out that they still get their Starbucks from time to time, they just don't do it every day. And I mean, they were stopping just for a regular coffee with cream in the morning at Starbucks rather than making a pot of coffee before they left. So, and I have nothing against Starbucks, except I don't like their coffee, but I have nothing against them. But it boiled down to now they tell their money when we can go to Starbucks rather than an impulse, right? And so, yes, but it took a lot of hard work. And I'll be honest with you, with that family, a lot of tears. They had no idea. They could never pay the rent. And they had no idea why until, first off, they were sending money in like 6 different accounts. So, but like I said, a lot of tears. Once we got everything square, we put it on paper and we confronted it, and then we were able to work through it. And they have not struggled now in 2 years. They're back on track. They're building up a down payment so they can buy a house, so they don't ever have to do the rent. So yeah, so it worked out.
Perfect. And I know you've got a program coming up starting on September 25th. Can you fill us in on that?
Yeah, we're going to start a 6-week mastermind group or master class. I don't want to make it sound like a boot camp or something like that, but it's on financial freedom, and to go through some of the steps with budgeting and some of the things that we all need to look at in our finances, things like insurance, when to invest, when not to invest. I have friends who are financial planners, and they have people come into them all the time. They want to start a mutual fund or whatever. They can't pay the rent, but they've been told they need to save. Well, they need to get their finances in order. So this is going to teach you all the tricks and all the stuff about budgeting, around what to look for in your insurance policies. I had one lady who had insurances that were just crazy, and when she made some changes, she was able to take that money and pay off her house. And so there's a lot of stuff we can do there. We'll talk about investing. Like I said, insurance, we'll talk about wills and trusts and how to make sure the money that you're paying attention to is taken care of in the future also. So how to leave a legacy. And so, like I said, that starts on September 25th, and it'll be 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. We'll go for about an hour, and then we'll have a Q&A after that, and that will take however long people have questions for. It will be limited, and we'll get some more information out on that here quickly.
You bet. Now, one of the things I noticed, because I am now finally mortgage free, yay! And a lot of people are like, "Oh, yay! Now I don't have to, that's money I don't have to spend every month." And yes, I am saving money because I'm not paying the mortgage, but there's still the homeowners, there's still the property taxes, and so I've already budgeted out to take care of everybody, putting aside what needs to be put aside, so that
Right,
when it comes time to pay the homeowners and it comes time to pay the property tax, I'm not scrambling. Um,
right.
Now, you mentioned your thing. Let's go ahead and put up the link for the master class. I think, is that the one that's at? There we
That's the
go.
Facebook link. Yeah.
Oh, that's a Facebook link, and this is if you
And
want to follow Sam on YouTube, this is a good one for that.
yep, there's a few things up there. I'll be uploading some more work on there on the masterclass also.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
that's the best place to go.
okay. And so you can find Sam on Facebook at Sam McKeown. You see his name right here. And also Alive and at Peace, correct?
Yep. Hmm.
Okay, very good.
Or you can
So
go on the
Sam,
YouTube channel and follow us both.
there you go, because we do a lot of work together. We also have
We do.
we do every week called Balancing Act, and
Hmm.
that one's a lot of fun. That one's a lot of fun. We talk
Yes.
about all sorts of ways to keep your life in harmony, and I would say financial self-care is one of the ways to keep yourself and your life in
Hmm.
harmony. Again,
Yep.
it's a way you may not even realize the amount of stress and the amount of pressure that you put on yourself when you don't
Hmm.
pay attention to your finances. And the thing is even if you're doing well financially, you still should know
Hmm.
your money's going. You
Right.
know, you don't just let your kids run around, they're 5, right? Your
Hmm.
5-year-old doesn't just get to run around and do anything. You know where they are, you know what they're doing,
Right.
you have an idea. Treat your money like a loved one. Now
Yeah.
don't be hoarding, don't be negative with it, but treat it kindly and it will treat you kindly.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly.
Well, Sam,
Yep.
thanks so much for being on. I know it's been a while since we've been able to spend a long show together, so I appreciate
Yep.
you coming in,
I
hanging out with
appreciate
me.
the opportunity.
You bet. And again, if you got value from the show, please, give us a like, give us a follow, and give us a share. Share it with your friends, and come find us on your YouTube station, my YouTube station. And thanks for coming out, Sam, and we'll see y'all next week. Have a good one.
This has been Loving Life's Journey with your host, Linda Wilson. From the laughter of children to the wisdom of elders, from the thrill of new adventures to the comfort of cherished traditions, Loving Life's Journey is your invitation to revel in the beauty of everyday miracles and the love that surrounds us all. So tune in, be inspired, and remember to cherish every step of this incredible journey called life. Here on Loving Life's Journey,